British Journal of Mad Science Films.
Going.
How you feeling, Jim? You happy with the do? Yeah? I could slump down a bit so my do doesn't look quite as imposing.
And coming up this Sunday will be this man's turn to direct his Emojis of Horror, which is the
OK Kill.
OK
Kill, as scripted by Lucas as well, and again featuring Lucas. Looking forward to doing it. It should be interesting. I kind of woke up this morning. We've got 6 days to the shoot, and kind of went, I really need to get Jim some shot lists. So Jim is DPing this, and I'll rope him into helping me co-edit because it just wouldn't be the same without you, Jim. Looking forward to doing it. We've dragged Jeff back on board as well, so Jefferson von Stark.
Go Jeff! Go Jeff!
And it's been a lot of fun kind of just brainstorming, like a mini version of what we achieved on Little Monster, just in terms of talking about the costume and then, having a chat with Jim. Having a chat with Jim about lighting, and obviously because we've already seen the location and everything, then we've got a good idea of
what we're dealing with,
what we're dealing with there. Because in terms of set dressing, it doesn't need it.
It's got a lot of character.
It's got a lot of character. I tell you what, let's have a look at the Location Recce video now. Today we got Location Recce, Emojis of Horror shorts for the OK symbol. On my way to pick up James Morrissey, who's going to be my DP, as always, co-editor, and I'll probably rope him into doing the score as well. Thanks, Jim. Lucas Isley, who's going to be the scriptwriter. I worked with Lucas in 2017 on a web series which he wrote called Long Shots. We're going to, hopefully, although now we've got traffic. So we're going to go check out a location up in the Brackens for our short. We require a village hall type location, and Lucas knows of a place. Join us, won't you? So Jim and I had a discussion about how to light for it, and obviously the majority of the short takes place at night, so that brings its own set of challenges.
It does, yeah.
Honestly, I need to do a horror film which is set during the day.
I was going to go on to the bunker thing and say, but that's,
Well, we've got a project at the moment which we've just codenamed Project McCready.
It's top secret stuff.
It's exclusive. Yeah, so it's very early days, but we're developing something, again, with certain limitations in mind. And that's one of the biggest tips, obviously, we've talked about in the past, is writing, knowing what you've got access to, knowing, what takes a lot of time. Like lighting for night, especially when it is night as well, that can take a lot of time. So, sculpting your story to a specific location, if you can get by on practical lights, brilliant. I mean, one of the great things about Jim's Tears short we just did on Emojis was because a lot of it takes place during the day in a brightly lit office.
That shortens your shooting time.
Yeah, lighting wise, it was quite a straightforward lighting setup because because of the comedy element, you're not really focusing on, you know, the visuals so much as the performance with the visuals. I mean, there were certain shots and certain lenses, without going into it too much, that you chose for a specific effect.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, you let like the content, I suppose, dictate the style rather than the other way around. Whereas with horror, you can have very strong stylistic visually, you know, if you're just doing a straight horror. So yeah, I mean, that would be kind of a fun thing to see how we get up to on OK Kill. 6 days till the shoot. I've shortlisted about half of it, so I still need to do some.
We'll wing it on the day.
No, I mean, one of the big things I want to do with this, and obviously, you know, we might look back on this vlog and just kind of go, what were we thinking, is just boiling down the number of shots. So I think one of the things that we found on this bad boy here, Little Monster, is we set up a really good looking establishing shot, or a master shot if you like. Really spent time lighting it, framing it, you know, working with the blocking of the actors.
Yeah.
Shot that, great, moved on, got mids, got close-ups and everything. And what we found in the edit was, because the actors did such a good job and the crew did such a good job, you don't want to cut away. You know, you sometimes when you've got such a strong shot and the actors are such into their characters, so much into the performance, by cutting you can almost sometimes pull the audience out.
Yeah.
So more and more what we found is, although we've got, you know, all of this coverage, we didn't really need it. And sometimes we use it for that effect, but for the most part, you know, we've been happy just to let a scene run on an individual shot.
I think if you can get the emotions from a wide, which you want to, you know, portray by the actors within the scene, like there's nothing better than having a wide shot of something that's going on, which is quite gripping, and then getting an actor blocking it so they move closer to the camera, and at that point they emit like a very emotional, you know, scene line emotion, and then that then goes from a wide to a close-up. There's no light changing, and that will give a dramatic effect. That'll obviously, you know, complete that task of visually telling the story, but also practically, logistically, as a producer, you're speeding up time, you're speeding up setups. It's not costing you,
eliminating need for loads of lighting changes or anything along those lines. So
anytime you could do that is a huge bonus.
I mean, we'll see how it goes after the OK Kill shoot. But yeah, I'm pretty much kind of shot listing it with that in mind, boiling it down to what shots, really thinking about blocking the actors, you know, how they fill the frame.
I suppose it's allowing them to do all the work instead of the camera, because quite often you fall into a trap of moving the camera to get a closer, moving the camera to get a mid, moving the camera to get a wide, moving to get a high angle, blah, 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 which you need to do obviously at times. But if you could avoid doing that, and it adds to the scene, then don't move the camera at all.
I mean, one of the big things for me was, like, growing up as a kid, was I watched a lot of Hong Kong cinema, so, you know, a lot of the stuff in the 80s. And yeah, absolutely, they kind of had that frame and let the actors, you know, not all just kung fu films, but, you know, I watch a lot of horror stuff as well.
There's some nice scenes in the thing with it.
Absolutely, a similar example. And, you know, obviously John Carpenter has already talked about how much of a fan he was of the Hong Kong stuff, hence, you know, Big Trouble in Little China. But yeah, he had a similar thing, is, look, it can all happen in this frame. There are obviously times when, you know, if there are specific set pieces where editing becomes key in creating a mood, creating a feeling or whatever. But there are certain shots where I've kind of gone, okay, it's half a page, there's two actors, I know the location already because we've been there. Let's frame it and just let it play and let the actors do their thing. And I think that's something that I'm getting better at, is having faith in trusting the actors to be able to convey the story, because it's a collaborative process. I think as a director in the past, you know, you're kind of like, okay, well, I can tell the story using the camera, which absolutely you should, but you've also got to be allowed to let the actors do their thing on screen, because, you know, often the most interesting thing on screen should always be the actors, you know. It shouldn't be about flashy camera moves. I mean, I love flashy camera moves.
It's getting that balance. It's just knowing when to go for either or, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, OK Kill. We'll see how that goes. As Jim says, Tears is rough assemblied.
Yeah.
A couple of pickups still to grab.
Pick up stuff. and then
tighten it, and then
tighten it, score it.
get it out there. So yeah, the Emojis are horror things churning on. We're getting, you know, all the submissions in. I mean, to be fair, loads of people have run over. What are we now? About 6 weeks over the initial deadline. But real life intervenes, as we all find. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. What's great though is the quality of the material coming in means that honestly we've probably got enough material for 2 feature-length anthology films, which will be amazing, to be honest. And will just help, you know, kind of boost everybody's profile. I mean, one of the original ideas behind the Emojis of Horror anthology was just to bring all these talented filmmakers who I've either worked with or been fans of myself and get them to cross over with other people's audiences. And I'm still looking forward to that. That's going to be, for me, one of the most exciting things is once the film's out there, you know, people discovering, say, MJ Dixon's work and stuff like that, you know, or finding out about Jason Keith Platt, you know, who was a filmmaker that I met in Swansea about 10 years ago. And I can't wait for people to discover his films, you know, if they weren't already aware of him. So yeah, no, it's a great project. And
it's exciting. It's exciting. I can't see the whole thing completed. You know.
Yeah. Well, 2 things completed. It looks like it's going to be. So there we go.
Well,
and the other bit, actually, Jim, there's the one other bit that we've still got to film, of course, is the linking segments.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got that as well.
We got a lot of stuff to do.
That's relatively straightforward.
When you say that.
Oh, and if you're watching this on YouTube, apparently there's like a little bell symbol where you get notifications every time there's a video.
Yeah.
So hit that bell, ding dong.